All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report. We're about to have a very important conversation. So mark this. On Friday, Kenya joins the world in marking the International Day of the Girl. But as we approach the 2024 International Day of the Girl Child, we are reminded not only of the concerning challenges that girls face around the world, but also the incredible potential they hold in building a safer, brighter, and more just future for all. So ahead of our conversation right here on the Monday Report Town Hall tonight, we listen to the dreams and aspirations of Plan International girl advocates from Homa Bay County, who through the Plan International Global Girls Takeover got the opportunity to spend a day in the office with the Irish ambassador to Kenya and her deputy, Evelyn Maris. All right, let's listen to this.
In Kenya, at the Embassy of Ireland, two Plan International girl advocates from Homa Bay County got an opportunity to step into the role of leaders at the embassy for a day to send a message of the need for equal power, freedom and representation for girls and young women.
I'm Cheryl, 15 years of age, and I'm from Homa Bay County. I am a girl advocate at Plan International, and I am here for a girls' takeover. I've learned that you should be proud of who you are. Yeah, because opportunity comes once, and when it's there, it's you to decide whether you want to let it go or you want to stick with it.
The girls occupied a space where they're rarely seen.
You know, I was reflecting back on when I was a girl, and even just being in the space that I've been in for the last couple of years, both in INGOs and now here with the government side, more and more it's harder to see sort of that visibility of women, or historically at least, it was harder to see the visibility of women at these leadership positions. And then you sort of feel, well, if there's no other woman there, then maybe I don't need to be in that space. And I think what this, the opportunity to come to the embassy today and see that we have a female ambassador, and we have a female deputy ambassador, and we also have female second secretaries and deputy head of corporations. I really hope that that inspires them to say, yes, we can do it, and it doesn't matter what the space is, that girls do belong in it and women do belong in it.
This was a moment to amplify their voices.
Being here, it means traveling around the world. For the first time, I've flown in an aeroplane, something I've never done before. I've never thought of being in this seat. In fact, when I was told just some 3 weeks ago, I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how to react. Yeah, I was shocked. I would like to encourage my peers back in my society and all around in Kenya to not lose hope and strive for their goals. Because this is my first time sitting in such a position, this doesn't mean that no one else can do what I've done. Other girls might also have the privilege to do so in the near future. Because in a journey of 1,000 miles, you start with a single step. The main reason why girls are not able to acquire formal education in my society is because there is lack of funds which they might use for school fees and for personal needs which they will use.
I think it's really important that donors like Irish Aid and other like-minded donors are coming together, but it's also really important to see the work of civil society in that space. So the work that Plan International does with all of their partners in these countries is critical, and getting that access and getting those voices heard is really, really quite important.
As a girl advocate, I will ask the government and other stakeholders to help in promoting peace among women in the whole world and my society. My wish will be coming back again to visit such a place, because I have had an experience which, one, I never had before, two, I've seen what I've never seen before, and three, I have something to tell my friends back at school.
Absolutely inspiring. And now to have this conversation, joining me right here is Precious Ngondi. She's a mentee and girl advocate at Plan International. Thank you so much for making time. I have never had such a young panelist, but it's good to see you. Thank you for making time. And Letitia is here, Letitia Achungo. She's a gender and development professional at Plan International. Thank you very much for making time. And to represent the PS is Dr. Josephine Obonyo, Secretary Gender, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action at the Ministry of Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage. Asante sana for making time. And last but not least, Laureen McKenna, Girl Advocate, Plan International. Thank you very much for making time as well. Precious, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Precious Ngondu Mongeli. I'm in grade 8. I'm from Mathare. I learn at Missions of Hope Center Bondeni. I'm the only girl in a family of 3 kids, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. How is it living in and going to school in Mathare, Precious?
It is not easy, but we overcome what is there. Because in the morning you are afraid of going because there is insecurity. You are afraid of rape, death, or kidnap. You rather go late and be punished, but not go early and get cases that are not there. As they always say, prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're very well spoken. Congratulations and thank you so much for being here. Let me bring in our Jojo Tim. Jojo Tim is the country director, Plan International, just to speak to us about this day. What does this mean and why is this important, George?
Yeah, this day is very important for Plan International because Plan globally work together to amplify the voices of the girls. And also it is important for us because along this time we do a lot of takeovers. And the takeovers is to motivate the girls and to inspire them into leadership position. We have done quite a number of takeovers with the embassies, with the county governments, and then the national government. And also this day also we are launching a report on the status of the world girls, especially focusing the girls in conflicts and crises. We know climate change also has a lot of impact on girls. So this day is important where we amplify the voices of the girl and allow the girl to lead the show so that they can talk for themselves in case of matters that affects them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me bring back the panelists here. And Letitia, what are the challenges that the girl child faces? I know you've dealt with quite a number of them. What are the challenges that we don't seem to understand as a nation that we still need to drum up support for?
Thank you, Trevor. As Precious has mentioned, first of all, first and foremost, girls continue to face violence all across the country, especially in places like where Precious comes from, places where we work in, like in Mathare, in Kibera. They still continue to face that risk of violence. And girls still continue to face the challenge around inequality. That's the biggest challenge that girls are also continuing to face across Kenya because there's still the challenge of girls being viewed as equal to boys. So there's still the challenge of them not being given access to these spaces, the leadership spaces, the spaces to really advocate for their rights and for their own voices. But other than that, I'll refer to the strategic goal of Plan International in our current strategy, our current country strategy, which talks of ending teenage pregnancies and all forms of violence against women and girls. Because a report that was done post-COVID indicated that there was the highest rates of teenage pregnancies. So that's a challenge that girls still continue to face to date. And teenage pregnancy is not an issue on its a standalone issue on its own. It's also contributed to by many other factors, including violence, including not having access to resources, because you'll find other challenges which come around that is access to menstrual hygiene products due to poverty. We find that there are some girls who still cannot access sanitary products, menstrual hygiene products. And of course, in that situation of trying to ensure that they're able to meet their needs, then there's the risk of exploitation and sexual violence, which then also contributes towards teenage pregnancy. But then there's also areas where FGM is still being practiced. And that is also a big concern which girls continue to face, because this inhibits them from accessing, from living a full life, from even their education is impeded. So FGM still continues to be a challenge, and Plan International has a program known as Break Free, which also works with the government, with community leaders, and also with girls and their communities themselves to raise awareness around the challenges, around the impact, the negative impacts that come with FGM.
How impactful has that program been when it comes to dealing with FGM?
I would say the program has been very impactful, because I think we've seen the changes happening at the community level. We've seen those discussions with the leadership structures at the community level. We've also seen the conversations with the duty bearers and also with the gatekeepers, the people who continue to perpetrate the acts of FGM. Because, of course, Plan creates a space where to bridge the gap between the community and also between the community and the girls, so that it's a dialogue happening around creating ownership, around the need to protect girls from FGM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me bring in Dr. Bonyo on this. And Dr. Eri, how has the State Department for Gender prioritized girls' needs here in Kenya?
Okay, thank you very much, Trevor, and thank you to our panelists. Yeah. Now, one thing is for sure that as a State Department for Gender, our mandate, our core mandate is to ensure gender mainstreaming, and that includes for boys, girls, women, and men. But of course, our main focus, and hence the name Affirmative Action at the end, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, then the implication is that we have to apply affirmative action for females, and particularly girls and women. Now, for that reason, we work with, it's a multi-stakeholder approach. And in this case, we work together with the Children's Department, we work together with a social protection. And also part of our mandate is to ensure that there are policies that are in place that ensure that the issues that have been raised by the panelists here are able to be tackled through a befitting legal framework. Now, among them, you find that as a government, one thing is for sure, education is an equalizer. Education, again, keeps girls safe, away from predators, away from violence. And that is why, as a government, we have the Basic Education Act that ensures that every child, and particularly girls who are previously left out, when there was a choice, if a family had to choose between a boy and a girl, then more often than not, the girl stayed at home and the boy went to school. So this act has ensured that girls are kept in school, able to learn with the boys, and also are able to be safe and to have at least a chance at life. Now, most importantly also as a government, then we have the Children's Act. And the Children's Act is very clear on issues of child labor, it's very clear on issues of child exploitation, and basically it was what anchored, it ensures safety of children. But more importantly, I think what has come up is the issue of violence. Gender-based violence, and particularly violence against girls, is something that is rampant in our society, within and even beyond our borders. And for that reason, as a government, we've come up with various policies and legislative measures that ensure that girls are kept safe, girls are protected, and particularly protection against female genital mutilation that has been raised here already, which is still happening in many quarters, including medicalization of FGM. And for that reason, as a government, we have the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act. And this is very clear, and it sets clear punishments for people who are caught doing the act. Now, at the same time, you'll find that within the State Department, we have, just to show how important issues of FGM are to government and to ensure that it's not happening, we have a SAGA, semi-autonomous government agency within the State Department that specifically deals with issues FGM. And the government has shown its commitment by not only allocating funds every year, but specifically in this particular year, the funds were actually increased to ensure that FGM is not practiced. However, of course, there are challenges here and there.
Yeah.
But as a government, then we're ensuring that from a multi-stakeholder approach, through judiciary, working with the judiciary and other stakeholders, we ensure that the practice is prohibited as much as possible and action taken against perpetrators.
Yeah, we'll come to the challenges in just a bit and also address some of the possible solutions. But let me bring in Loreen on this. Loreen, describe for us your role at Plan International and what you've seen as the gaps when it comes to leveling the playing field for the girl child.
For Plan International, I joined about 2 years ago as a girl advocate, and in the Break Free program, that is where we have our main focus has been in FGM, child marriage, teen pregnancy, and period poverty. FGM is significantly reducing in my county. Since it is a marginalized county, FGM was really rooted there. Period poverty is one of the challenges, biggest challenges that we are facing as a county, because you get that girls during their period days are not able to attend school because of they lack the necessary tools. But I'm glad that with Plan International and other grassroots organizations in the county, we are able to mobilize and get people to contribute. Then we are able to distribute pads in school. In child marriage and teen pregnancy, we are really engaging the community, the church, the girls in school, and we also engage with the health stakeholders in the county who teach girls, teenage girls and other girls on how to access the necessary tools before they engage in sex. They also taught about child sexual, reproductive and health rights, which when girls are taught that maybe you can go for a contraceptive before you engage in sex, or in case you engage in sex or either raped, on which ways to engage. In child marriages, we have teen mothers in my county, and there are services for them. We encourage them to go back to school, and others are taught on how to engage in economic activities that may help them to raise their children and also to empower them so that they will empower other girls in school not to take the same path.
Yeah. Before I bring back Precious on this, let me bring Dr. Bonyo back. Why haven't we been able to sort this issue of period poverty? Whereas we know that in public, protective assets, I'll say that because Precious is here, can be given for free. But why is it so difficult to have pads in schools? Why has that been a challenge for this nation?
Thank you very much. Now, one thing is for sure, the government is totally committed to end period poverty. And that is why, as a government, through the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, in the last financial year, which ended in June, the government ensured that, which is something that has been happening previously through the Ministry of Education, and previously, anyway, through the State Department, and now back to State Department, whereby the government actually provides sanitary towels, the sanitary towels program for all school-going girls in public institutions. And this is the girls from class 5 and up to the ones who are in junior secondary. So class 5 to the previous class 8. So for each and every girl in public institution, the government has provided sanitary towels to ensure that girls stay in school and to ensure that we're ending issues of period poverty. Because one thing is for sure, what we discovered is that lack of sanitary towels actually leads to issues of gender-based violence, because it's also a question of, socioeconomic empowerment issues, whereby you'll find girls actually would end up being subjected to violence, socioeconomic violence, or even physical and sexual violence in the process of trying to secure pads. And therefore, for that reason, the government has ensured that each and every girl in public primary institution, from both primary and junior secondary, are given pads. Now,
except, is it enough, Daktari? Have you been to those schools?
Yes.
Because there are some schools that I've been to and they've not seen any of those sanitary towels you're talking about.
I can assure you that, yes, each and every girl gets 8 packets per year. Ideally, of course, it should be 12. But each and every girl from class 5 to junior secondary gets 8 packs.
Okay, let me ask the audience by a show of
yes.
hands, how many of you have seen that happen in any school near you? So what is the challenge, Daktari? Because even I have not seen it.
Now, I can guarantee for sure that I have not only overseen that process in the past year.
In all schools? All public schools?
Yes, in all public schools. And also the way it is distributed. This distribution is done together with the Ministry of Education. It's not something that we do on our own. Like I told you, we use a multi-stakeholder approach, whereby they're procured at the national level through the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action in the last financial year. That's what happened. And once they are from the State Department at the national level, then they are distributed through this up to the sub-county. The suppliers distribute up to the sub-county, and at the sub-county level, then you find a committee.
Yeah.
There's an acceptance committee, inspection and acceptance committee that actually receives these towels at the sub-county level. And this includes the Ministry of Education, Social Protection, we have KEBS involved, we have the State Department, because there's a State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. We also have officers, county officers at each and every county.
Okay.
So they, together with all this team, which is headed by actually the county commissioner, ensure that they distributed to schools.
So you're
schools
saying
actually come and collect at the sub-county level. And then they provide it to the girls.
Okay, I'm pushing back on this because we've had these conversations every year, and until we start to have some tangible action, we will never level the playing field for the girl child. So you're saying now that all the children, all the girls in schools can go to their principal and demand for those 8 packs per year?
Not to the principal. At the school level, there's usually a committee. And this committee then ensures that these sanitary towels are issued to each and every girl. So there's a committee at the school level.
But the students will only interact with the principal and the teachers, not the committee.
Yes,
so who do they
and this
demand
includes
from?
the teachers, definitely. It's the teachers.
So who do they go to?
And there's a teacher. Each and every school has a teacher who is in charge of distribution of sanitary towels. And I can assure you that at the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, we've monitored and ensured that this is happening across the country.
But they haven't seen it. Okay.
I can confirm that.
Again, by a show of hands, has anybody seen this happen? Okay. So maybe we need to check the channels of distribution so that we confirm whether that happens. But Precious, let me bring you back on this. So early this year, Precious, there was heavy rainfall in Nairobi, and many parts of the country had a lot of floods. How was it for you when you're in Mathare? Were any of your friends affected? Were you affected? How did you survive through it all?
So during April and May, floods occurred in Mathare. There was a lot of damages and demolitions happened in Mathare. Unfortunately, some of our friends and neighbors were affected. So when they don't have a house to stay, they go and seek in other places that they don't know. You find that sickness is there. They are doing things that they never imagined of. So it was so challenging for so many people during that time of floods. Maybe you left your house there going to look for work. You come back and find that your house has been demolished. So people are depressed and stressed. But we thank God that they are healing. Yeah.
That's very inspiring from you. I'm still very surprised at how spoken you are. So, but who inspires you, Precious? When you look at it, who inspires you?
I can say I'm always inspired by Lulu Hassan.
Okay. The one Lulu Hassan?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because when I look at Lulu Hassan, she came from a background like mine.
Okay.
But she's standing still on his feet. Even when she does the Shajara na Lulu, Ijuma, I'm always there to look at it.
No,
So she always inspires me so much.
Oh, that's really nice. Lulu kona missed call. See Rashid Abdallah? Lulu. We'll make sure you meet Lulu at some point so that you understand what she goes through, and also the inspiration can pass on to you, because you have to see it to be it.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Letitia, let me bring you back on this. Letitia, we were talking about FGM earlier on. This is an illegal act. It's outlawed. But how come there's still some sports that it is practiced? What have you seen so far? What is the reason here?
So, despite, as Lauren mentioned, FGM is not a standalone issue. It comes from, it's deep-rooted, and it arises as a result of norms and practices that have been ongoing in those specific communities for a long period of time. And of course, it also arises from some of those norms include the belief that a girl is not ready for marriage, or is not maybe worth that status of being taken as a wife if she's not gone through FGM. And also you find in those communities where FGM is practiced, the men also value the girls who have been taken through FGM. So you see, if those are the norms, then that means then FGM will continue being rampant. And also because you find in those communities as well, once a girl has gone through FGM, then the bride price is also increased. So sometimes the fathers of the child, and the father of the child, and even their mom or their family will feel that, just the beliefs and the norms around getting the girl circumcised in order to increase that dowry or bride price which is received. So it's around the norms, around the beliefs, the practices which have been passed down, and that's why it's important to really create that space where you can have those community dialogues, and it's really important to identify who are the perpetrators of the act, and also who are the gatekeepers. Sometimes you find the gatekeepers are completely different from who you would think is the one perpetrating the act. So it's important to identify these individuals in the community and to really bring them into the dialogue, because if we leave them out, then we might just be, engaging at the level where Madam Secretary has mentioned, we are trying to pass the law. We've passed a law around prohibiting FGM, but if the community does not buy into the law, if they do not come to understand the negative impact which FGM has on girls, then they will continue to be the ones to perpetrate it. But once we bring them on board and we have those dialogues, even going as far as having those intergenerational dialogues where we are not just speaking to the girls or to the young women, but we are also bringing in the men. You're working with the men as well. You're working with the older generation as well to make them understand, the negative impact of this act, and also the importance of, bringing it to an end. Then they will also be champions of ending FGM in the community.
All right. Lauren, you're the one who brought up the issue of period poverty. What has your experience been like? What do your peers tell you?
I've seen girls miss schools, and I think the root problem to all these issues is poverty. Poverty is the biggest problem, because, as she said, even if we give 8 packets of pads to every girl in school per year, the parents are poor. They have the mothers, maybe they have the sisters. They also don't have those sanitary towels. They are expected to share that 8 packet of sanitary towels among themselves. Let's say in a family we have even 2 girls. Imagine sharing 8 packets of sanitary towels among yourselves. That is not logical. And then she said that they are given from grade 5 to grade 8. A period can start from as early as 8 years. What happens to a girl either in class 2 or class 3 and they have started their period? What happens to them? Then they are forced to miss school because they have no access to these sanitary towels. Yeah.
So what would you recommend going forward? I haven't seen what's going on.
Maybe engage with other women in the community, see how you can be able to get maybe sanitary towels per girl, 1 packet every month. maybe so you can help those underage who are not yet in grade 5, and maybe identify households where they are not able to get these sanitary towels, maybe provide for them to make sure that a girl child does not miss school because 8 packet is expected to be shared among either 3 or more girls in a household. Yeah.
Okay, let me bring back Dr. Bonyo on this. Dr. Bonyo, what are the challenges there? Is it, because, you know, if you give me this pen and it doesn't get to Precious, giving me this pen is irrelevant. If it was meant to get to her and it's not getting to her. Because clearly there's a problem that people don't see those packets you're talking about.
Okay.
What are the challenges you're facing as a ministry? Is it that is it too much bureaucracy? Should you have a different way of doing this? Because if you're going to get exams to all the schools, why is it so difficult to use the same channels to get the sanitary towels to them?
Yeah, thank you very much, and Lorraine, thank you for that feedback. One thing is for sure. Let me start by first saying that we acknowledge, just like Lorraine says, that one, definitely 8 is not adequate. Even 1 per month, we acknowledge is not adequate, because any female, any girl will tell you that girls experience menses differently. There are those with heavy flows and vice versa. So ideally, 1 is not enough. And I totally also agree with the fact that there are those who may start their menses earlier than grade 5. Now, besides that, you find that what we are also aware is the fact that, especially in the rural setup, we have girls who start school late, and but by the time they are in grade 5, they are much, much older. And for that reason, we are definitely working around ensuring, probably with we work with other stakeholders to ensure that these numbers can increase. And as a government, we are looking to ensure that that happens in the near future. So we acknowledge that, and we're working around that. Now, you ask about challenges, why then the pen doesn't reach the girl. And again, I'm repeating that from where I sit, and as a State Department, as a government, the structures we have used is similar to, just like you've used the analogy of exams, similar structure to ensure that it reaches the girls. It's not adequate, we acknowledge, but I can confirm that yes, they do reach the girl as inadequate as it is, because of the structures we put in place, because like I said, we are working together with other stakeholders. We partner. It's a multi-sectorial approach where we work, like I said, with the Ministry of Education, and actually we're using the Ministry of Education structures to ensure that they reach the girls. And one thing is for sure, that when they reach the sub-county level, they're actually stored in the same exam containers for your information, just to prove to you that we're using the same structures, using the Ministry of Education structures, and working together closely with them to ensure that they reach the school. And then the schools now collect them at the sub-county level from that exam container. That is the structure we are using. And that is why I'm looking at the audience. Are
you as surprised as I am?
No.
haven't seen any of those.
Why I'm not surprised is because I'm looking at the audience, and I'm seeing, I can see, I think maybe just a few who are that grade, the category of grade 5 to 8 in the audience that are shaking their heads.
Sisters.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, let me open the floor then to questions and reactions and see. Where's Anastasia? Anastasia from Kilifi. Anastasia, mpatie microphone. Tuambie huko hivyo changamoto ni zipi? Na kwanza wewe shuleni umeona hizo sanitary towels?
Kwa majina naitwa Anastasia Mwaka kutoka Kilifi. Katika hizi changamoto tunazozipitia, kwanza tuseme hizo pads kufika kwa shule, labda tuseme zinafika lakini sio hiyo size yenye amesema tunapata.
So ampati paketi 8? Unapata paketi ngapi?
Tunaweza pewa kama paketi 2 ama 3.
Kwa mwezi, kwa mwaka?
Huwa tunaweza pewa kwa term.
Term moja. Hiyo ni kama 3 months hivi. Okay. Wewe kama girl advocate, ni nini hizo unataka zifanyike kwa society? Hizi changamoto zipungue kidogo. Ni nini hizo unaona zinafanyika vibaya na zinaweza rekebishwa vipi?
Mimi kama girl advocate ninaweza kusema kuwa hizi changamoto kupungua, ama kitu yenye inaweza saidia hizi changamoto kupungua ni kwamba watu waelimishwe kuhusu haki zao na pia kuhusu hizo sanitary towels. Tunaweza sema kuwa au wenye wanapewa kama hivyo, tumesema kuna wenye wamebaki nyumbani na wanahitaji huo msaada, pia wanaweza wakatafuta kwa hao viongozi mbalimbali ama mashirika mbalimbali pia wakapata, kuliko kutotosheka na yani kutopata hizo vitu zote zenye wanaweza zikawasaidia na zisiwatoshe. Kwa hiyo wanaweza wakatafuta msaada kutoka kwa mashirika mbalimbali ili waweze kupata huo msaada. Na mashirika mbalimbali pia nayo yajitokeze ili kuwasaidia wasichana ama wamama wenye hawawezi kukimu mahitaji yote.
Na wewe kama girl advocate, unajua kuna zile changamoto ambao wasichana wengi wanapitia, alafu kuna zile haswa ni wasichana wa Kilifi peke yao. Ukosefu wa maji na vitu kama hivyo. Ni nini tena ambazo sisi wenyewe labda tuelewi? Wewe mwenye unatoka Kilifi unazijua zaidi.
Changamoto ambazo zimeathiri katika kaunti ya Kilifi, kitu ya kwanza ni ukosefu wa maji na chakula, ambao hiyo ni ukame. Ukame umekithiri katika kaunti ya Kilifi na watoto wa kisichana wanalazimika kutembea masafa marefu kwenda kutafuta maji na chakula. Kwa sababu katika mila na desturi zetu tunaona kuwa mtoto wa kiume kazi yake labda hapo nyumbani ni kuangalia mifugo na kazi zingine za nyumbani ni mtoto wa kike. Kwa hiyo tunapata kuwa watoto wa kike wanalemewa sana na hizo kazi.
Okay.
Pia kuna umaskini. Umaskini umekithiri sana katika kaunti ya Kilifi na watoto wa kisichana haswa wameathirika sana. Kwa sababu ya watoto wa kisichana wakikosa kwenda shuleni, inamaanisha kuwa atakaa nyumbani na kuzurura mitaani. Na hiyo pia imechangia sana mimba za mapema. Kwa sababu watoto wa kisichana kama wakikosa masomo na wakikosa kuelimishwa, hawatajua kuhusu haki zao na pia hawatajua kuhusu venye wanaweza kujikinga na ili waweze kuwa watu bora zaidi. Kwa hiyo utawapata wanazurura mitaani na kuna mimba za mapema, na hiyo pia kuna sheria ziliwekwa lakini hazifuatiliwi ile sana. Kwa hiyo utapata kuna watu wengi wako tu nyumbani wanazurura kwa sababu ya mimba za mapema. Hiyo pia ni changamoto, na hiyo changamoto imechangiwa na umaskini. Kwa hiyo ningependekeza ama ningeomba mashirika mbalimbali yaweze kuwasaidia wale watoto ambao hawana uwezo ama wazazi wao hawana uwezo wa kuwalipia karo, waweze kuenda shuleni ili waweze kupata masomo. Na pia katika mimba za mapema kuwe na sheria ambazo zitakuwa hizo sheria ziwe zinafuatwa ili watoto waweze kusaidika na hiyo muongezeko wa mimba za mapema uweze kupungua katika kaunti yetu ya Kilifi.
Asante sana. Where's Judith Adhiambo? Judith, show of hands back there. Yes, Judith. So, what is the status of the girl safety in Kibra in your own analysis? You can use whichever language.
All right. Thank you so much first for this opportunity and to Plan and Citizen. Well, the status of the girls in girl safety in Kibra, to be precise, is, first of all, I'd say it's a work in progress. Reason being, we have organizations like Plan who did come in and engaged us. The good thing about the programs that we do with Plan is we're given the opportunity to design the program. So therefore, having been raised in Kibra, we understand the challenges we go through as girls growing up. So therefore, we know the gap.
Yeah.
So if you know the gap, it's easier to implement than most of the times, or rather for a long time, a lot of organizations just, they come with a program designed for you to implement.
What are the specific challenges?
So the specific challenges that we're having is early pregnancies, one. Again, period poverty is still a challenge. We are trying to work around it. As I did mention, it's work in progress, but it's still a challenge because, as Lorraine stated, this part distribution happens. Yes, I have attended public school, it happens. And Madam Secretary, when it happens, even in that grade 5, it's distinguished to girls who have started menses. I might not be on my menses, but I have sisters who have menses. So therefore, it locks me out again. Poverty is still at home, you know. So it engages, girls are left to be engaged in sex for pads for the longest time. So we have teenage pregnancies, we have STIs and STDs in relation to that. So I acknowledge it's a work in progress, but however, there's still a lot that needs to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judith. Let me bring in Calvin. Where's Calvin Shikuku? Calvin Shikuku is over there. Kindly pass the microphone to him so that we hear. Calvin Shikuku is a male champion Plan International Safe and Inclusive Cities project. First of all, tell us what that is, and then what are the challenges that the women and men face in your community, especially in Mathare.
Thank you, Trevor. My name is Calvin Shikuku from Mathare. The Safe and Inclusive Cities project is a planned project that ensures that young people, regardless of their gender, are able to influence decisions and are safe. And safety in terms of their SRHR, there is SGBV, safety in the community, safety in public transit, and all that. The project has about 11 partners that have been working for about 6 years now. And we've been able to reach about 30,000 young people. That is 15 years to around 24 years. When we talk about the discussion that we have today and the challenges people face in our communities, especially Mathare, there are so many challenges. And one of them is unemployment. You find that young people, men specifically, become breadwinners at a very young age. And young women are also caregivers at a very young age. There are no jobs. People do manual jobs in places like Isili, which is right across from Mathare. And these challenges keep piling up. You give birth at an early age. You are born without a father, for example, and the cycle continues. So getting out of it becomes very difficult sometimes. The other issue is violence and insecurity. Young people like me are very vulnerable to extrajudicial executions. And women, on the other hand, are also vulnerable to gender-based violence, especially because there are no lights when they go to school very early in the morning and all that. So in terms of infrastructure, that really contributes to that aspect. And there are so many issues, but the one I would also add is political exclusion. I think we have been politically excluded since 1963. And when you look at how we live, we are very generous with our votes, but that is not reciprocated in terms of the services that we receive. There is no water, sanitation is poor, our waste not collected, the sanitary towels we talk about here do not exist, I will say. So these are challenges that pile up on top of us, and they continue affecting us. And the last thing I'll talk about, for example, if my aunt who raised me had been given education, I think she would have done an even better job than she did, right? Yeah. So these are some of the challenges that young people who live in places like Mathare go through. Women do not get a chance, and that becomes a problem.
And as a male champion yourself, and it's good that you brought up that issue of the women, how then are you rallying behind the girls in the community?
I think it comes from experience, as I said. I have seen that if we give a little push to these women, they'll go far. We are seeing very lovely women on the stage today. If we do not stand behind them, getting an education for them is not a guarantee that they will be successful. They can get pregnant and drop out. They need people who assure them. And I'm like other men here. We call ourselves men who have seen the light. Like in Burundi, we have the Abatangamucho, who are men who have seen the light, and they basically just support women.
Yeah.
So that is what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
In our programs, in our initiatives, we look at ways of transforming. It's called gender transformation, where when we design our programs, we think about how to ensure that women get the support that they need.
Okay. Where's Lasit? Lasit is from Kajiado. I'm doing this intentionally just behind you. Give her the microphone behind you there so that you tell us how is it growing up in the Maasai community and the cross-section between the cultural practices that are there and what we are trying to do to level the playing field for the girl child. How is it, first of all, growing in the Maasai community?
Okay. Before I answer your question, my name is Irene Lasiti. I'm a Form 3 in PCA Girls, PCA Ongata Booth Girls. And I'm here, capacity of Plan International and Kenya Works. Growing in my community is very amazing, and we have a very beautiful culture which is admiring by most of the people, and despite the heritage that we have, our culture, our community still practice some retrogressive practices that might kill the future of the girl, which is FGM and child marriage.
Okay. And we'll talk about those solutions in just a bit, Lasiti, and thank you for that. And I'll open now the floor. Let's talk about solutions going forward. You've had the challenges that are there. When Precious, I'll start with you before I come to the audience as well. And there's Emmanuel Angwenyi. Emmanuel, I'll come to you next. Let's pass to him the microphone, and then I'll like to hear from all of us here. Where do we go from here? This is the main conversation, because we'll have this conversation every year. But do we really level the playing field for the girl child? What are the tangible solutions that you think we should implement? And Precious, I'll start with you. What do you think should be done going forward so that at least the girl child has a level playing field with everybody else?
So they can make foundations.
Okay.
They can make foundations where children, like girls, can go and help themselves. Maybe if they don't have the sanitary towels, rather than going and engaging in activities that they don't want, they can go to those foundations and get those pads.
Okay.
Also, about ending period poverty. That is a lot in Mathare, because you find so many people are engaging in alcoholism because there is the factory. The factory is there.
Okay.
So it is near.
Yeah.
They engage themselves in things that they are seeing it's there, so that they cannot think about what they will do. So when they make those foundations or they start to distribute the sanitary towels, people will be blessed, and the girls will be able to go to school fearfully.
Fearlessly.
Fearlessly.
Yeah. Okay. So safe houses would help.
Yes.
Okay, great. What do you think, Letitia?
I think I'll go to what she mentioned about the challenges that they face in Kilifi.
Yeah.
And around, walking long distances during drought to access water, and also the fact that whenever drought hits and in the state of poverty, then girls are the most likely not to go to school. So Plan International has programs around building resilience of communities to withstand the impacts of climate change. So I would say that's one of the ways in which we can ensure that we are addressing the challenges holistically. And when I speak about resilience, I basically just mean that families and households and communities are able to be provided with, information, skills necessary for them to earn income through alternative, livelihood activities. In the instance of the situation in Kilifi, would be exploring, innovative solutions. Maybe now that there's drought, what else can these families do now that they don't have access to water? What other initiatives can we go into to ensure that they can still be able to get a livelihood out of it? Because you'll realize it's cross-cutting. The fact that the family cannot afford to provide for the girls, that means the girls drop out of school. That means they don't have access to sanitary towels. So when we're able to build their resilience through interventions like cash for assets, through interventions like cash transfers to them, and giving them the skills necessary to explore, alternative livelihoods, then when the family is empowered, then the girl is also empowered. Because if her mom, if her dad, they have income, if they have if they engage in income generating activities, then they can go to school. They can ensure that the girls are taken to school. They can ensure that the girl is able to receive those sanitary towels that they have mentioned they are not able to receive at the moment. But also, overarching is it's important that the girls are brought at the center of the conversation. When programs and policies are being designed, the girls' voices needs to be highlighted. One of our young girl advocates from Kibera mentioned the need to really co-create programs with girls, with young girls, because they are the ones who understand the gaps in the communities. They're the ones who understand the challenges that they face. So it's important that their perspectives are integrated into all our projects, both as non-governmental organizations and also for the government. It's important that girls are at the center of that conversations. And maybe just to wind up, there's also what Calvin mentioned around, the challenges which young people continue to face in Kibera and Mathare, which, of course, we know a huge challenge which young people are facing right now in Kenya is around youth unemployment, lack of jobs, lack of an income. So, of course, there's need to look around innovative solutions, because we cannot keep doing the traditional way of just saying maybe if you get an education, it's guaranteed that you'll get a job. That's no longer the norm. So even in plan, across one of our strategic pillars, it's around youth-led and innovative partnerships to ensure that you're getting solutions to job creation. So that means we need to create an ecosystem which supports youth employment and youth entrepreneurship. That means exploring opportunities such as the green economy, investing in initiatives around both addressing the impacts, the challenges which face them, e.g., of course, they mentioned floods and the floods that hit them recently. So when we incorporate both the challenge and also around, if we are co-creating around green economy, if we are co-creating around looking at innovative ways to resolve the challenges of climate change, then the young people can also be able to get jobs around that, because you find that youth have very, very innovative ideas. Okay. So we also need to bring them at the center. We need to listen to their perspectives. We need to co-create solutions together with them.
Okay. I'll take a quick break here. When you come back, I'll just be talking about solutions, and I'll come to you, Daktari, and also open the floor to the audience to give us some of the solutions they think would be lasting. And we'll just give this about 10 minutes, but our break is just 2 minutes, so don't go anywhere. We're back in just a bit. We're speaking about how to empower the girl child just a few days from International Day of the Girl. All right, so don't go too far.